Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk about Insecure episode 4. What is it? Lowkey Loosin It. Yes, we are losing it in this episode, y'all. Friendships are slowly deteriorating. It's a lot. Today I am drinking ginger ale with apple flavored vodka. I think it's Absolute. I don't know what the fuck the name of the brand of the is apple flavored vodka and ginger ale. I'm using this here microphone once again because my lavalier battery ran out. I forgot to turn the thing off. Yes. So we are about to get started. I have my pal here, Poopsie May. So let's start talking about the episode. What happened in this episode? So we start off with Issa got Schoolboy Q to perform at her block party. She's excited. Everything's going great. She's trying to do the flyers and everything. Condola has not returned any of her phone call or messages about these flyers. And her tenants are mad at her because the water is off and they don't know why the water's off. So she isn't organized, basically. So the flyers are just, who knows what's going on with the things. Her tenants are upset. She's not organized. She needs some help. And I'm starting, they don't have any other friends. Not really. They don't have anybody else to reach out to except for her and Molly. And then Condola came into her life. And then they have acquaintances, friends. And I don't know how I feel about that. You know, like they have their family, of course, but it doesn't sound like their family it doesn't look like their family is a part of their life in that way where they have somebody to hang out with on a consistent basis. I'm getting the vibe here that they're by themselves most of the time. So that's happening. She's trying to get the flyer. She's not hearing back from Condola. Her tenants are mad at her. It's kind of chaos, but she got Schoolboy Q to perform. They confirmed, so that's good, right? Yes. And then Molly and Andrew are getting closer. They are getting cutesy and closer, but Molly works a lot because, she's a lawyer. He came over to have date night at her house and they were about to have sex, but Molly is thinking about work because she has shit to do that if she doesn't turn it on time, that looks badly on her. She's a lawyer. So they need to organize their schedules better. Andrew is seemingly understanding though. He seems to be understanding that, Molly is a lawyer. So this isn't about you, Andrew. This is about her career where she has to do things. And so they have to figure out and make time. But Andrew seems to be riding along, He seems to be like, I understand. I respect your hustle. I get it. And Molly ends up having sex with him at 1:42 in the morning because the work that she said would only take a few minutes to do took longer than a few minutes. So there you go. And then, Issa continues, like I said earlier, to have trouble keeping track of all the stuff for the block party. She's not hearing from Condola. As you know, in the last episode, Condola and Lawrence had their little conversation that let Lawrence know that Condola doesn't necessarily want to have kids or get married. And also Condola feels the type of way about Issa being around. So it's a mess. The mess is starting to fall apart on everything that Issa has set up. That's why if you're not emotionally set up for that type of shit, don't go into business. Don't put a lot riding on some shit when you know that the people that you're working with aren't, it can be messy. Think ahead. Plan ahead. Like, how could this turn out if it went south? And what backup plan can I use to, make sure it doesn't turn south? But, we don't do that here. We don't plan ahead. We don't consider the possibilities of what could happen and why this may be a problem and our own emotions. Lisa said in the last episode, she feels like, she only got the possibilities of what Lawrence could be. And then Condola got to reap the benefits of those possibilities when in reality, Lawrence has issues. He has depression. He has low self-esteem when things aren't going right for him. It's like he has trouble hustling to figure it the fuck out, and I've heard someone else say on one of these reviews that, when he had one argument with Condola and then he's running back to Issa in her DMs, and later on this episode, you'll also see it's like he needs a woman to settle his issues. That's what they said. He needs a woman to settle his issues rather than him actually sitting with his own insecurities and his own pain and working through them in his own way, because that's going to last forever. How you yourself settling your own issues, you are going to be with you forever, pretty much. Living or dying, you are going to have you forever. That's going to be forever. So basing how you fix your problems on temporary things, even people, can be problematic. You never figure things out for yourself or try to communicate how you feel, or you just go from one person to the next. Yes. So Lawrence has some issues, and there's nothing wrong with seeking support from people. It's more so if it becomes a thing where you can't work on yourself at all, ever. You always have to, seek out support from somebody to fix it. You always need somebody else to fix it, pretty much. You need a mommy. You need your mommy to come. Oh, gosh. Oh, yes, I said what I said. Instead of saying, I think I have depression, I think I need to go to therapy. What do y'all think? That's when you can reach out to, what do y'all think? Do y'all think that I show signs and symptoms of being, lacking motivation and melancholy mood and low self-esteem? Because I looked at the symptoms of depression and they sound like me. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to, reach out to a professional that can help me access my inner self instead of always having to reach out to a woman to cover up my inner self. It's bad. It's bad. Oh, I think I put too much vodka in that drink. I'm not a drinker. So she's a lightweight. A couple sips and yes. What happened next? Issa's had Molly's getting chummy with her work friends, and she continues to cancel dates with Andrew. They're working on a case at her office, of course, and so she's canceling dates because she has to work. It's not like, I'm glad that her work friends like her now, so that's a good thing. I think Molly's growing a lot. She's growing a lot, but then there's still some deficits where we'll talk about that later. So, getting chummy with her work friends, still canceling on Andrew. Andrew's still chill about it, still And then, Molly and Issa meet up at Tiffany's house because Tiffany just had her baby. And Lawrence is there, and Lawrence and Tiffany's husband and Kelly is there, and so on and so forth. And you can tell there's tension between Molly and Issa. Ooh, look at that. As soon as they pull up to the house, they low-key passive-aggressively arguing over a parking spot. All sorts of stupid shit that, shouldn't be a big deal, but is. And all this takes is some communication, let's talk it out. Let's figure out what's going on. But because we never learned how to communicate with each other in this friendship group, we're just going to keep hating and being snarky on each other. So they're pulling up. There was an empty spot right in front of Tiffany's house, and they both pull in at the same time. And, it looks like Issa got there first, but Molly didn't let her have the spot. And so Issa had to park down the street and walk. And, their friendships is just popping off at the seams and shit. Just all the things. So, yes. And Issa is listening to Michelle Obama's Becoming as she's pulling in. She's trying to better herself, better who she is as a person, better her decision-making skills and things and stuff and whatever. So that's a positive. She's trying to better herself. But, there's tension as Molly and Issa are pulling into this. I don't know if I don't think it's a baby shower. I think she just had her baby and all her friends are visiting, and they've been visiting over the past week or so just to make sure she's okay. So on the surface, they do a lot of friendly things. I'm not going to let you die type of things. Or if you're sick or in the hospital, or if you just had a baby. Medical emergencies. But we're still not going to communicate deeper issues in these relationships here. We're not going to talk about how we feel and what's wrong. So Molly and Issa, what happened? So Molly and Issa meet in front of the house once they've parked, and Molly's like, I'm sorry I missed the last self-care Sundays. I've been working and all this other stuff. And Issa's like, it's fine. And they awkwardly ask each other if they still want to do it. And they both say yes very quickly, but they know they don't want to do it because they have issues with each other. And they're not talking about it or communicating their feelings or their emotions. And, we move to Tiffany's husband and Lawrence playing with the baby. And Lawrence is getting flashback to what Condola said about not wanting to have kids and all this other stuff. And Lawrence is feeling a type of way while he's listening. Tiffany's husband being scared about someone taking advantage of his daughter. And, all these things as far as what they're missing out now that they have a baby. So he's freaking out a little bit, but not really. And, Lawrence is just kind of like muling it over. Going back to what Condola said, not wanting to have kids, all these things. And then we go down to Molly and Issa and Tiffany and Kelly in the living room, and they're sitting and talking. And Tiffany's just talking about, I think they just threw this in here as a way to acknowledge the articles that have been coming out about Black women being seen as not being able to feel pain. And doctors, not really giving a fuck about Black women when they're in the hospital. Like Serena Williams when she had her baby and she had to demand proper services or she would have died. I think they just kind of threw it in there just to kind of mention it, but they didn't really go too deeply into it. So Tiffany brings up how she had to fight for her rights at the hospital in order for the doctor to listen to her. Her husband had to go through 9 doctors, all this other stuff when she was having her baby. So I think they wanted to just nod their head and acknowledge Black women's struggles and things like that. Issa and, Molly and Kelly are just kind of like, yeah, girl. And then Molly starts talking about, well, I'm glad that your husband is there for you. And that's what it's about, having your husband be there for you, having your partner be there for you, and how Andrew is there for her, and how Andrew understands that she has to work and all this other stuff. And then Issa says a joke like, oh, what are you, Jada from Red Table Talk and whatever. And then Molly gets a type of way about it. She feels upset, mad that Issa made a comment. And I think they're just taking everything they say to each other very personally at this point, because there's deeper issues here that you refuse to talk about. We're not talking about the elephant in the room, so we're going to get mad about other random little stupid shit. It doesn't really matter. Yes, that's what we're doing. So then Molly and Tiffany go upstairs, to go take care of the baby or whatever they're doing upstairs. And Issa and Kelly are left downstairs, and Issa asks Kelly, hey, Kelly, do you think Molly hates me? Pretty much, damn near what she said. Do you think Molly hates me? And it's fucking children. And I'm not saying I don't do shit like this. I'm not saying that I haven't been through shit like this or experienced shit like this, but I've gotten to the point where if I just say how I feel, like, hey, look, I noticed you've been talking to me in a type of way, and I want to know, are you mad? Like, what's going on? I would just find a moment to sit down and say that shit while we're at the party. Let's just talk about it. But no, we're avoiding. We like to avoid and conquer. So Kelly's like, no, you should talk to her about it though. Even though Kelly and Tiffany, I don't know if they ever had a conversation about their little tiff last season where Kelly just felt like so left out because Tiffany got her little bougie Black friends to plan her baby shower and didn't invite Kelly to do it, which says a lot. But I don't know, maybe they never talked it out. So it's like the pot calling the kettle black. I don't know, but they never mentioned that they sat and talked about it. Kelly had her little outburst, and then now they're best friends again. So maybe they did. I don't even know if they're best friends, but apparently Kelly's been over to Tiffany's house all week helping with the baby, so maybe they are. Who knows? Now they're gonna make her Aunt Jemima and shit and be the fucking nanny to take care of the baby. We go from Baps to being they do Kelly so fucking wrong. They do her so fucking wrong, and it bothers the hell out of me. It really does. It's like she has range. She's an actress. Give her a part that fucking matters. That's all I'm saying. But, whatever. That's what they want to do to Kelly. It's fine. Stereotypes, fat Black women. That's what they want to do. Show needs some work. We need some background stories. We need to do Kelly right. We need to sit and talk about our problems and communicate. It needs some work still. That's all it is. It's not that it's a bad show. It just still needs some work and stuff. So Lawrence then comes in to the kitchen and he's helping, and Issa sees him. They both go outside to talk. Upstairs, Molly and Tiffany are in the room, and Tiffany is, they're talking and whatever, and Molly looks down and sees Issa and Lawrence in the backyard patio, whatever, talking, and Molly is just like, have you and Issa talked? Do you feel like she hates me too? So they both think they both hate each other, and they both think that, they look down on each other, and they both have these issues with each other that they're not talking to each other about, but they're talking to everybody else about, and it's just kind of like, okay, y'all need to talk to each other. Shoot down to Lawrence and Issa in the Garden of Eden, Yeah, in the backyard. And Lawrence and Issa are chit-chatting about the baby and asking how each other are doing. And Issa brings up that she hasn't heard from Condola about this block party shit. And then Lawrence is like, I have to tell you something. There's something going to be that he wants to be with her. Lawrence, I feel like you should be alone for a little while. You and Issa should just be alone, no dating. Just to get to know yourselves as human beings. Get to know your boundaries and your communication skills and what you want in partners and what you want in people. And any mental health issues that you may have that are ongoing that may need to be worked on before sitting and deciding, hey, let's sit and talk. Let's possibly get back together. All the things. Yes, I'm a mess. I don't give a fuck. And, but Lawrence doesn't get to tell her that's something because then her phone goes off and she picks it up and Schoolboy Q has dropped out of the block party. And, I'm surprised she even got him to be in the block party. I'm just kind of like, what? I mean, I'm not, but I am, because knowing Issa Rae, Issa B, whatever she's calling herself in this show, I'm just surprised. I'm surprised. So, Issa is back home again, talking to her mirror person that she raps to in the mirror. And her mirror person is talking back to her like, you know what, bitch? I don't have time to be rapping with you. My life is going crazy, too. It's crazier in Maryland than it is over here. And I'm just like, is she having a psychotic breakdown? Or is this her imagination? Where, is her feelings of being abandoned going into her mirror person, and she's imagining that her mirror person is abandoning her too? Because, that's her little imaginary friend. But now they made it into something where it can talk for itself. So this is not a sci-fi show. That's why I'm just kind of like, is she talking to herself through the mirror person because she's feeling abandoned? Or is she having a psychotic breakdown? That's what I want, because this isn't a sci-fi show. So I'm just kind of like, why are you biting me? Like, you just jumped over and bit my hand. What the It's fine. You're an animal. You don't know no better. It's fine. They say that the animals the cats nibble on your hands, nibble on you because they love you. So I'm just going to take it for what it is, because she didn't chomp down. It was just like a nibble. Like, she knows that it hurts me. When I say ow, she stops and stuff, so. I'm off track, so. Molly and, okay, so then Issa's calling everybody she knows. She's trying to figure out if she can find somebody else to, do this party. Everybody she knows, basically, who are acquaintances that are not her friend like that. She's calling everybody she knows, trying to figure out this party thing. And yeah, that's where we end off. And then we see Molly and Andrew on a date. They finally were able to go out. And Andrew has made plans, for after the date, because he's not sure if Molly is going to be available after the date, because he's used to her being busy and needing to work and all this other shit. Look at this. This is cheap. I need to get shook the whole camera. Y'all see that? So he's not sure if, Molly's going to be available after the day, so he made plans. I mean, I understand. I would have just been like, oh, well, you have fun with your friends, and, I'm going to go home, but I think we had a good time, at least as long as I get to eat. I got to eat. We got to chit-chat. I got to look cute for a little bit, and I'm going to go home. And, maybe when you're done with your friends, you can stop by, and we can have a good little after session. But I'm not that emotional like that. As long as you don't give me a reason to think you're cheating on me, I'll let you do it whatever the fuck you want. You want to go hang out with your friends? Go hang out with your friends. I need my space too. I like to go places by myself. I like to travel by myself. Like, we don't have to hang out 24/7. So don't give me a reason to think you're cheating. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Live your life. Shit, I don't give a fuck. We can hang out and talk and chit chat and talk about deep things and have sex and all this other stuff. And then you can go hang out with your friends. Don't you have friends? I've asked men that before too. Just, do you have friends? Because I need some space. You've been here all week. I need some space. But Molly's sensitive. So, she's like, how you made plans, babe? You made plans after this? I thought this was date night. He was just like, well, you've been working every night. So I just figured, like, I'm thinking this is the fifth day out of the week. And all the other days she was working every night, but this is the night that she wasn't working. Like, bitch, like, he doesn't know your schedule. Not to say that he needs to know your schedule, but damn it, if you're trying to go out with this nigga and you know that there's a pattern of you working every fucking night, then you need to let him know, like, hey, also, just to let you know, I'm not working that night either. Just common fucking courtesy and shit. But, Molly gets sensitive and all this other stupid shit happens, and it's like, it's not that serious. So then it's like the next day. So Molly is in her office and Issa calls her and Issa wants to talk. She's like, Issa's like, I want to talk to you, like, real quick. So Molly's thinking Issa's calling her because she wants to talk about her feelings and her problems and all this other stuff. About Molly's feelings and problems or whatever Molly's been going through. But no, in reality, Issa's calling Molly because she wants Molly to ask Andrew about if he knows any artists that can work at her block party. And Molly just feels some type of way that Issa's asking this. And then in reality, if a friend asks you some shit like this, it's not a big deal as long if you're close. But because they've been having all these issues, it's kind of like, oh, how dare this bitch ask me anything and not care about me and my feelings and want to talk about my emotions and shit. Well, bitch, Molly, you went to therapy to learn how to express yourself and talk. This bitch didn't go to therapy, so she's still in the same place that she was. So you got to figure this shit out, because Issa's not in that place where you're at, where she feels comfortable expressing how she feels and talking about her problems and expressing all this other shit. She's not there yet. And there's nothing wrong with that, But the little snarky comments, I can tell, is getting on Molly's nerves. And then Molly has her snarky comments back. And I think Molly doesn't want to have that type of relationship, type of friendship anymore. She seemed to be making friends at work with her coworkers, or at least they're doing cases together, and stuff like that. And they're talking and chit-chatting and hee-hawing and shit. But at the end of the day, she's expanding her social network, social people a little bit. I don't know if, their actual friend. Look at this shit is coming up. I'm gonna have to super glue this. I bought this from the Champ's website. What the fuck? It's peeling up. Oh my gosh, I'm getting distracted. It's the adult ADD. Girl, keep it together. I bought this from the Champ's website because I wanted some interesting sweats. This is going to come up in the washing machine. I know it is. I'm going to have to super glue this to see if it works. Don't eat this. This isn't food. Stop eating stuff that's not food. You fucking pica motherfucker. Anyways, pica is when you eat things that isn't food. Like, I've had clients that eat like paper and plastic and shit like that. Like them people on what is it, My Strange Addiction, that be eating soaps and the fucking stuffing out of the damn mattress and shit. Just stupid shit that should kill you if you eat it, but apparently they don't die. I think it's fake. You don't eat as much soap and deodorant as those people were eating and not die. Like, they're eating like pounds of that shit. No, your body can't absorb all of that. You should be in the hospital. That's poisoning your body. But whatever, they want us to believe the bullshit. Like, you're taking regular shits, really? That shit is digesting in your stomach. The fucking cotton from the mattress is, as much as you were shoveling that shit in your mouth on that show, that shit is digesting in your stomach and you're taking regular shit. You're a fucking liar. When if you even sip a bottle of soap, you could like pass out and go into shock or some shit from poison. But they want us to believe this stupid shit. So anyways, off track. Molly and Issa, what is it? Okay, so yeah, they don't. Molly's making friends. She's learning how to communicate. Issa asking her for her to ask Andrew if there was any artist that would perform at her shit is like, okay, Molly is like feeling some type of way about that, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, Molly, you were messy in your life too, and Issa was there for you. Issa is not out here causing problems for you. Just because you're tired of the way Issa lives her life, how does how Issa live her life affect you? Yeah, you got to sit and hear her bitch and complain and talk about it. But at the end of the day, it sounds like she's a decent friend. She's there for you when you need her. I mean, you're not even asking her what's going on in her life that makes her so nonchalant at the moment about your life. You're both busy. And it's like your lawyer shit is more important than her Block party shit? Like, the fuck? Okay. Anyways, so Molly says, she gives a tentative, okay, I guess I'll ask him if he has any artists, but she doesn't want to. And then later that evening, I'm assuming it's later that evening, she goes and sees, what's his name? Andrew. And she apologizes. Good for Molly. She apologizes and admits that she's wrong. She said that, I'm sorry that I got upset at the dinner the other day when you told me that you were hanging out with your friends. I understand that I've been really busy. And Andrew's just like, no, I get it. I respect your hustle. But, we're past the honeymoon phase. They're having deep adult conversations. Ew, what is this? Yeah, greasy. We're having deep adult conversations about, our relationship here. We're trying to figure it out. Andrew's like, we're past the honeymoon stage, and, I didn't realize our schedules were clashing so much with each other. So we got to figure this out. And Molly's like, yeah, let's figure this out. So Andrew's not mad at her about her job and that she has to work. He understands, but at the same time, he wants to figure it out with her. And I feel like that is beautiful. That is an adult relationship. Like, I like you, you like me, we're a happy family. Let's figure this We're a happy acquaintanceship relationship type situation. We're not family yet, but you know what I mean. They like each other and they want to figure it out. Molly's apologized. So Molly's grown. She's communicating, but as you grow, you have to learn not to look down on the people that haven't reached where you're at yet. As you grow more emotionally stable, you can't just be looking down on motherfuckers. Like, she's looking down on Issa and Issa's life. She is. And it's fucked up. And Issa doesn't know how to respond because Issa's not where Molly is yet. I don't even think Issa went to therapy before. Issa may have not have thought she needed it or whatever. But it's like, you can't just be looking down on people. Like, that's fucked up. So there's a deficit still inside of Molly that makes her look down on Issa. And then Issa after Molly and Andrew do their little sex stuff or whatever, Molly calls Issa on the phone. And Issa is just like really excited. She's like, my best friend, blah, blah, blah. And Molly's just like, and Issa's like, hey, did you ask Andrew if he could get an artist for my thing? And Molly's just like, I hold this relationship sacred. And so I don't feel comfortable asking Andrew for that because I feel like I just want to keep things separate from everything else. And Issa just is crestfallen. Just like, that's cold. Bitch, that's cold. If you have a friend and your man does shit and your friend needs help, you're going to do... You've known Issa longer than this nigga. Your sacredness, bitch. You are cold blood. So that means, like, when you work on your emotional stability and shit and how you communicate your problems, you just treat other people that aren't necessarily there yet like shit. Like, people that have been with you for like long ass time. Why don't you just learn how to communicate your problems with Issa? Like, Molly's learned how to communicate her problems with everybody else, but she can't communicate her problems with her best fucking friend. Like, hey, I don't like when you said that. Let's talk about it. Shit like that. Like, Molly's irritating me. She is. Because this is unnecessary. All this needs is a fucking conversation. And Molly knows how to conversate with everybody else about her shit. But when it comes to Issa, oh no. Fuck this bitch. I'm not doing nothing for this bitch. This bitch messy. This bitch is always bringing me down with her problems. Like, this is the vibe she's giving me. And it's irritating the shit out of me because it's like, be a decent ass bitch and talk to her. Be a fucking boss bitch and just talk to your friend because you've known her since forever. But instead, you're going to be a fucked up ass individual and treat her passive aggressively shady. Like, and then that's where it ends. Issa's crestfallen. She doesn't understand why her friend's treating her this way. She doesn't know what to do anymore. Condola hasn't gotten back to her. I think she got back to her once with the prince for the thing. But Issa's like, she's just crestfallen. She don't know how to take some shit like that. Like, this is some the one thing I hate is problems that could have been prevented. You could have prevented this shit. Y'all could have just had a conversation. Y'all been hanging out Sundays here and there. Y'all been going to the grocery store together. Y'all was at it was plenty of times to conversate about this shit, get it all out, be mad, and get the fuck over it. This is some get over it type shit, because at the end of the day, you're going to have messy friends. She hasn't done anything to betray Molly. My big thing is betrayal. If you do shit to betray me, leave me out in the cold, purposely manipulate me, then that's some friend ending shit for me. But if your life is just messy, I mean, I'm gonna still keep my shit together, and I'm gonna tell you that your shit stinks still. And we'll still be friends. Like, hey, like sometimes I just feel like you make these poor ass decisions about your life and then you complain about it. But at the end of the day, it's like you don't need to make those decisions. So let's work on it together. When I went to therapy, this is what helped me in therapy to stop making the poor ass decisions I was making, Molly. Poor ass fucking decisions, fucking around with a nigga that was polyamorous and you didn't want that shit. Like all that shit. But no, Molly instead is bougie and snotty and looking down on Issa, and it's fucking irritating me. It's like, we still got some more work to do. She turned it into a fucking Tiffany, but Issa's not close to Tiffany like that for Tiffany to be like shady like that to Issa. Tiffany's shady to Kelly, and that's why Kelly had her blowout last season. But Molly is basically a Tiffany. She basically a Tiffany. And she's going to start distancing herself from Issa and treating her fucked up. And yes, Issa's life is going to be messy. She's going to have some issues with Lawrence. Condola already low-key, passive-aggressively mad about the whole situation. All the things. And so I'm excited to see how the mess spirals. I am excited to see how this mess spirals into more mess. And, let's see what happens. But yes, that was my drunken, barely therapeutic review of, what is it? Insecure, season 4, episode 4. What is it? Low-key losing it. Because you're low-key losing your friendship over some stupid shit. It's dumb. It's dumb shit. But maybe I'm just an open-ass fucking person that feels like, I can get past any kind of transgression as long as you're not trying to hurt me personally. So you hurt your damn self. Okay, well, that's your problem. We can talk about it and I can tell you what to do. But if you're not going to do it, it's none of my fucking business. You're still my friend because you're a genuinely good person. But, you're hurting your fucking self. That ain't none of my fucking business. I don't know if that's right or wrong. But I just feel like I'm going to keep people around until they start hurting me. Once they start hurting me, then it's like, okay, no, we don't need to continue whatever this was, relationship, friendship. Well, no, I wouldn't allow somebody that's hurting themselves. I wouldn't be in a romantic relationship with somebody like that. No, because we have to build a family and children off of that shit, and you need to get your shit together. Oh my gosh. But yes, let me end this because I'm feeling a little bit more drunk than I expected myself to feel. So yeah, later days.